I was recently sent a Twitter DM about sending me a Google document about this one person's findings and thoughts on putting it basically, wanting to avoid a Gamergate 2 coming from the VTuber community over this Hogwarts Legacy backlash. And it really caught my eye. I've been reading over it quite a bit throughout this week, and a lot of the False Eyed video I just went over was one of the videos recommended by this person. In fact, they also recommended a video that I had happened to watch quite previously, but I did put out my video on it afterwards, like after they had sent me the document, and I saw, oh hey, they recommended that video. Cool. But basically, their goal is wanting to bridge as many connections as they can in order to build bonds and prevent that Gamergate situation. If you don't know, Gamergate was basically, if you've ever heard the terms social justice warrior and think negative context, it's because of Gamergate. There used to be a time on YouTube where huge channels, like millions of subs, would call out smaller channels, some even my size, about being those preachy SJWs that are just trying to ruin your fun. And that would send waves of hate at people, and more than just this, those videos actually had doxing in them, which is why nowadays we've got such hard stances against doxing. But what I wanted to do was go over some of this person's observations and impressions, and I wanted to give a response of sorts and give my thoughts on the situation as well. Their first one is it possible the overt transphobia / hate via different memes is more trolling behavior rather than outright transphobia or quote-unquote going mask off? Now, I would have to say that whether or not it's intended to, their actions lead to the same outcomes, whether or not they are overtly transphobic or whether or not they're just jumping in the memes to be edgy. And to be frank, just jumping into the memes to be edgy and normalizing that to yourself is how they plant the seeds and build up to that overt transphobia and hate, where the memes stop being ironic. Number two, is it possible there are still people in VTuber spaces who are drawn to reactionary / right-wing spaces and propaganda because those groups offer a kind of safe space where VTuber fans could air grievances about real life under capitalism and hierarchy without fear of being talked down to by quote-unquote puritanical leftists? I would say that's not just a VTuber thing, though it is very prominent in the VTuber community. It is pretty broad in online spaces, there is unfortunately the stereotype of the puritanical leftists that you have to be this pure to be my friend kind of thing. Like what we saw with Hogwarts Legacy boycott. I never supported it, but I don't stan Hogwarts Legacy at all. I don't stan Harry Potter. I think it's a shitty franchise. Like, I separate the art from the artist. The artist is a piece of shit who made a boring universe. That's basically it. Number 3, is it still possible that lines are not completely drawn, i.e. possible to distinguish performative transphobia, hate, and fascism from organized conservative/reactionary right-wing elements? Honestly, it's so hard to be able to tell if it is organized from, like, a higher up position. I do get the feeling that a lot of 4chaners jumped onto this as a way to express their bigotries. And I would say also a lot of them jumped onto it as a way to... Or a lot of them jumped on it because they wanted to be edgy people. They wanted to get that rise out of people. They wanted that shock. Number 4, is it still possible to not cede ground to fascists and reactionary conservative elements in VTuber spaces? Unfortunately, I don't know if that's possible to not cede ground. I think it's definitely possible to carve out grounds for the opposite of those. But I will be honest, it is very prominent in the VTuber community. It's a lot of a passive acceptance of it, I would say. Like, a lot of people just kinda don't want to talk about politics, so they just distance themselves. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to engage with it in any form. And by doing so, they're just letting the people that are trying to actively destroy what we have do it. And I'm standing against that. And personally, I get really bothered by people that say they're apolitical. They don't have a stance. Because my literal stance is everybody should be treated fairly and equally. And my opponent's stance is, no, you should die. That is not an exaggeration. That is where the Republican Party of the American politics is at. Look at Florida as one example. DeSantis leads that state, and he's one of the front runners for president of 2024 next year. We got to organize against that. That's kind of important. Is it still possible? Or number 5, the final observation. Is it still possible to reclaim ground, find common ground / meet halfway, and encourage those VTuber fans who are just in the crowd / mob / troll wave to organize themselves or show support for and or initiate more progressive causes in the VTuber sphere? I do think it's possible. I honestly, before the Hogwarts Legacy discourse hit, or before Hogwarts Legacy actually came out and the discourse went into full bore, I didn't see very much of any transphobia from the people that I had been interacting with. And I interacted with quite a bit of people. And then the only transphobia and hate that I've really seen has not been the people that I've been interacting with previously. Well, some of them had shitty takes, but they're dealt with. I don't follow them. I also don't block people because I don't care. I only blocked 2 people. I've blocked 5 people total. 3 of them were minors. 2 of them are cunts. That personally bothered me. Like, they got into my community and gave me shit. To put it bluntly. But is it possible to reclaim ground and get VTubers back, or get more VTubers into progressive causes? Yeah, I definitely think there's not an argument. There's definitely something that we can do about that. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Most VTubers that I know are trans. Probably because I'm trans too, and we just kind of orbit around each other. But, like, there's just so many of us that we could definitely make an impact. The thing is, it just seems like the big VTubers, their audiences are a lot more reactionary. And by that, I mean they are uncomfortable around trans people. It's a kind of disgust response. Those were the observations sent to me that those were observations in the document sent to me that I wanted to respond to pretty directly. They did also include quite a few videos that, the longer ones, I will be watching off stream because I'm not going to be covering 2.5-hour video on this stream or on my channel, because holy shit, that would turn into like, what, a 4-hour, 5-hour video? Let's see. I did talk a lot about VTuber agencies, and I will be covering agencies more in the future. Parasocialism. That is something I will go over in a future stream. It is something important to talk about.